Hello and welcome to our election special program from Uttar Pradesh. I am Vishal Dahiya and today we are in Purvanchal areas of this big state. The assembly election rather, in the state of Uttar Pradesh is almost in its last few phases. But the fight and the excitement has not died down. Rather, it has climbed up a little higher with political parties attacking each other sharply and raising issues after issues. But are the issues which are important to the people being really talked about? We have a panel of guests in Gorakhpur today, a distinguished panel with people from different walks of life with whom we will have a discussion and find out whether or not the issues which matter to the people, to the voters, are really in the focus in these elections. Let me introduce you to the panel, starting with Dr. Ashok Prasad on my left, a physician, a person who is involved with charity, somebody who is, taught for more than 3 decades outside India, but is now back to his land in Gorakhpur to serve the people. Then we have Professor Shafiq, who is a professor in the Department of Sociology in Gorakhpur University. Then we have a young entrepreneur with us, Achintya Lahiri, and we also have a journalist, a senior journalist from the city of Gorakhpur, Bano Begum. Welcome all of you to the show, and thank you so much for being here with us. Let me begin with you, Dr. Prasad. You've come back to the city, after being outside abroad for almost 3 decades. Have things changed in those 3 decades out here? Do you see anything which has changed positively in terms of development, in terms of infrastructure, or is it almost the same, the lack of basic amenities?
I think it would be wrong to say, it would be perfectly erroneous to say that there hasn't been any change. There has been considerable change, but not all for the better.
Okay.
And perhaps, there's always the tendency to perhaps compare with what could have been and what should have been.
What should have been?
And there, I think, is there that I feel somewhat uneasy, and I'm not altogether very happy about what's taken place, in fact, because I think we should have achieved far more than we have been able to do so. And now that's a very cynical view. But when I look at certain other countries, I've had the good fortune of having worked in 11, both developed and developing countries, I think we have perhaps, it would be wrong to say, if you look at the top universities, and I have taught at 3 Ivy League universities, I'm myself an alumnus of Oxford and Cambridge and Harvard. So when you look at the merit list over there, you're always sure to find an Indian there. When you look at the geographical position of India, if you look at the mineral wealth, apart from Southern Africa and Soviet Union, there's no other part of the world which is as so liberally endowed with mineral wealth as perhaps the Indian subcontinent. We have the wealth of talent, we have all the mineral wealth available, and perhaps one of the problems that has remained, and unfortunately we haven't been able to do much about it, is bankruptcy of leadership.
Okay. So all that wealth has not been put to good use. Professor Shafiq, let me bring you in out here. What Dr. Prasad seems to be indicating is that there has been not as much development as has been desired, specifically if you leave the infrastructure apart, specifically in the education sector. Would you agree with that? If all that talent could have been put to good use, or could have been given a lot of more support to go ahead and nurture itself?
I do agree with Dr. Prasad, but you just see as he said, the alumni in the universities abroad are Indians. Similarly, if I see the students whom I teach in undergraduation and graduation
in Gorakhpur University,
and when I go to JNU in Delhi, even I find teachers over there who are from this place.
Okay.
That means that there's no dearth of talent.
Okay.
But why are they migrating? The question, the burning issue is, no party is raising the issue of this area, migration. Because the people over here are migrating for livelihoods, for education, for medical treatments, everything. Why? I have been here from last 18 years I have been in Gorakhpur. There's only one thing can say change. A lot of traffic has increased. Otherwise, condition of road is horrible, and probably, most probably, the worst part I find here is lack of urbanism. I don't find Gorakhpur a city. It's not an urban center. They lack urbanism. They park their bikes and cars on the road and start talking on phone and with each other. They are not concerned about the people who have queued up there after behind the.
So basically, you're indicating towards civic manners as well.
Civic manners.
We'll come back to that a little later. Let me, since you pointed out to the lack of basic infrastructure, roads and other things. Let me bring in Achintya out here. Achintya, you're a young entrepreneur. You represent the industry out here on this forum right now. Has infrastructure been a big issue, and migration also, you know, would be a cause of concern for the industry? If you know, if the labor, or if rather those who could be employed, they move out, then how do you cope up out here?
See, both these things are very big issues. Beginning with the infrastructure, I'm sure Professor Prasad would agree that the infrastructure of these cities particularly has probably deteriorated in the last 30 years than any improvement.
Okay.
So it is not even static, it is deteriorating.
Deteriorated.
Absolutely. So what is happening is, there is a clear lack of intent, I would say.
Okay.
I firmly believe that if the government wants, or if the administration wants, there is nothing that cannot be done. You know, you may not achieve a particular end, but then, you know, there can be a process. There can be percentage of improvement. You may not get 100%, but there could be 30% improvement. Here there has been deterioration. So what I see is there is no intent towards improvement, whether it is in this, you know, whether it is sewerage, whether it is drainage, condition of roads, traffic. There have been buildings which have come up with zero parking. I mean, how blatant violation of law is that? On the face, in the city, downtown. I mean, how can you allow such a thing to happen? So there is a clear lack of intent to improve infrastructure.
Lack of intent, lack of political will, that's what you're pointing out.
The second point was people going away. Like, we again agree that there is an immense amount of talent in this area. But this talent does not stay back. And this affects each and every aspect. I mean, whether it is industry, whether it is education, it affects all these forums, because I mean, when people don't stay back, why don't they stay back? They don't have a reason to stay back. There is no development, there is no employment. They don't, I mean, they don't get the return for, you know, what they have learnt or their talent, so they don't stay back.
Everything is interconnected, it seems, out here. We'll come back to the issue of unemployment, but let me bring in Arjumand out here, somebody who's, you know, kept a hawk's eye on what has been going on in the city and what has not been going on in the city for quite some time now. In these elections, do you believe, Arjumand, that political parties or leaders have willingly, you know, left these issues behind, kept them aside, or has it always been the trend that when elections come in, you know, nobody talks about the basic amenities or the lack of them in Gorakhpur, and then when elections are gone, then everybody laments about them?
I agree with you, because there are many issues in Gorakhpur which are very important, essential, but nobody is looking over it. Like, we have got encephalitis. Have you ever heard of it? Everybody. But nobody is talking about it. Why? Because if they talk about it, they have to be accountable, and they don't want to show accountability towards it. Encephalitis is a disease which is killing children from last 40 years. And more than 10,000 children have been killed with this disease. And nobody is saying that I have got a roadmap how to eradicate this. Nobody is saying that there could be a national agenda over it. And one more thing I want to say about this disease, that this is 100% preventable disease. This is waterborne disease and mosquito-borne disease. And how you can eradicate this disease? Just by giving toilets, just by giving drinking water, pure drinking water, just by having some fogging or some kind of thing that mosquito couldn't come up.
So a sustained campaign for you know, sanitation in the city might be the answer to that. Let me bring in Dr. out here. Dr. you run a charitable clinic, you see a lot of patients, you don't charge them for it. You must also have in the last few years come across the issue of encephalitis. How do you look at it? Is this such a uncurable thing for Gorakhpur and the areas around it? That stigma which is stuck to the city of Gorakhpur?
No, it's not. I mean, I agree with her 100%. I mean, the only point I would quibble over is the figure that you mentioned. In fact, it's the closer figure is 62,000.
Okay.
62,000.
Now, I was just telling about the RD medical
These are the
college.
deaths.
These are the deaths. 62,000 casualties
you a very
in the
small
last 10
comparison.
years. In the last 10 years.
Who has been disabled.
Disabled, that's right.
is-
I'm
Yeah.
not
I
including
agree.
that. I'm just not including that.
I agree.
I personally feel, I mean, she hit the nail over there, and I have been writing columns for different newspapers and portals. I have been pointing out that one of the major problems that we are confronted with, and nobody seems to be raising it, is that we have almost completely overlooked one of the basic prerequisites of a functional democracy, i.e., enforcement of accountability and equal accountability. There are some people who are more accountable than the others. And we have
it's
almost like a feudal setup.
And there are some who are never held accountable.
That's right.
Right.
Never.
And coming to the health issue, I mean, isn't it a total farce when you look at it? We are talking in terms of establishing an All India Institute of Medical Sciences over here. I mean, it's a total farce. I wrote a column and I came in for a lot
foundation
of
stone has been laid, Dr. Saab.
Indeed,
It's been
indeed.
there for the last 6 months, and
That's
the
right.
next stone hasn't come as yet.
So isn't it going to do any good to
No,
the
no,
city?
no, I don't think so. I mean, they are not being able to perhaps run the medical college over there.
Medical
And secondly, I mean, it was
Execution is
pointed
I
out
would
that
like
they
to
all...
intervene here.
Professor.
Why they have overlooked the deaths, encephalitis deaths and the children who have been disabled?
Disabled, okay.
Just they are from the rural background.
Yeah,
The
poor
class of people they are coming. Why they are not into discourse?
Yeah, I was
These
including
people
that.
are not taken into discourse. Nobody talks about them. When I remember when there was a bird flu and a girl called Rida Sheikh died, it was a national channel news. And here we have on an average 10 children dying daily. No news, leave alone national, state level.
I wrote a column.
So basically, if you're pointing fingers to the media as well, let's share the blame, Anjuman.
It's not only media.
No, but
The doctors, the medical college.
No, that on the lighter side, but
We all
on
have
the
to share the
serious
blame.
side of it,
Yes.
what I need to know right now out here is that is it the same when the elections are not around, or this is the scenario because the elections are here and everybody is a little concerned that nobody is talking about basic amenities?
Well, nobody raised
No,
that.
nobody is talking about
Nobody
this.
is talking about it.
Nobody,
Nobody.
even when elections are going
The
on,
issue
nobody is
happens.
talking about.
It's very
I will tell you,
surprising.
elections
that
after
you have-
elections.
Even
Let me
after
come in here, I'll tell you one
elections.
thing.
Yeah.
Like during the monsoons,
Uh-huh.
you know,
It increases.
the cases of encephalitis goes up,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
In those days during the monsoons, the politicians do address these issues. They come here, they would, they would make promises, they would meet people, they would, they would just talk over it and not act. They would go back.
I agree.
Post
But they
monsoon,
do.
let me bring up another bit. Post monsoon, what happens is this is again a flood prone area. Every year, if you talk about Purvanchal by and large, every year there are floods in various areas.
Okay.
And it's been happening for the last 15-20 years. Everybody knows about it. Now, any concrete step towards this,
Nothing has been taken.
floods could have been averted, but then in those days, there would be politicians who would come. They would blast the officers, the administration,
But
talk
no
stuff.
real action would
But
be taken
nobody,
on ground.
they would. So I basically
Concrete
believe these
steps are
people,
not
they run their politics on issues.
Uh-huh.
The day they solve an issue, they will have to look for another one.
Right.
They will have to look for a new one.
Well,
So they don't want to
So they
solve it.
want
don't
and they
solve it.
keep the issues
To
alive.
sustain the issue.
They
to
want to keep
sustain
The
the
issue has to
sustain the
stay
issue.
alive for them to do the politics over it.
Let me bring in Professor Shafiq out here on a different point. You're with the Department of Sociology. One very important question which I have is that migration and unemployment are very interlinked issues and have a lot to do with the lack of amenities as well, have a lot to do with the industry not being able to do much, lot to do with not much better facilities for education as well. So which one is the root cause out here, do you believe? Everything is so interlinked, and in this city it seems that everything is below par. Is that what you are saying?
No, no, it's not below par. In city, I'm saying because the civic sense, I talked about the city. But if you take Purvanchal in general, the livelihood, it is decreasing day by day.
Okay.
Fields, the condition, crop failures are there because of the climate change. So they are forced to migrate because of the livelihood, where to earn. So they will go where the industries, where they'll get a job, or even they'll pull rickshaw in Noida or in Delhi. But majority cases, if you see, people say that they want to come. Even Surat, in Punjab, in Delhi, Maharashtra, and the problem of migration. When they go to other place, they are being targeted. Just see, I don't know.
So that's all. Let's hear Arjuman as well. Yeah.
Before 90s, we had a full-fledged trade of weaving here.
Okay. Yes.
Like from last 400 years, people are into weaving.
And in these elections, I have so far not yet heard anybody talking about weavers.
Yeah. The thing is, this after 90s, what happened to the trade? They were getting subsidized yarn, and on that they were weaving clothes, and it was exported even to South Africa in those before 90s I'm talking about, and it was total organized sector. But after 90s, what happened? It has turned into unorganized sector, because earlier there were 24 cotton mills all over the state and 14 were in Purvanchal. Now every cotton mill has closed, and now yarn is coming from South India, which is too expensive, and a weaver can't buy it. He hasn't that much money.
So
and
the individual weaver is gone.
Now he has become a labor, from owner to labor, from ownership to laborship. So you are talking about migration. Yes, it is happening. Now the laborers are going to Gujarat to weave the same fabric,
same textile, which they used to do in their own
house. In their own house 20, 30 years before.
Yeah.
So whose fault is it? Of course the government policies. They have turned the organized sector into unorganized sector, and nobody is talking about it. Nobody has taken the issue.
Let's bring in Achintya out here. Achintya, does some fault lies with the industry as well, or is it just you can just pass on the buck to the government, because the industry it is being said the industry should also have taken some initiative, should have come forward, should have done a little bit more.
Tell me one industrialist who doesn't want his industry to grow,
That's true.
expand or make money.
I agree.
Everyone would.
But then to do that, you need some resources, right? Now, resources in terms of infrastructure, resources in terms of labor, resources in terms of lack of politics, lack of negative politics, so to say, market, and then some government policies. Now, unless and until you don't get that, how do you run? So, every industrialist, irrespective, wants his industry to grow, make money, and in turn provide employment, provide livelihood to a lot of people. You'll be surprised, after Uttarakhand came up, number of people from here have gone there and established industries just because of government policy. There are places called Kashipur, like Rudrapur, which are, where hundreds of industries have come up from people who have gone there from Purvanchal and put up industries. Why have they gone there? Just because they are getting power over there. The political interference is not there. The policies are good. The land is being provided. Interference is not happening. So, for industry to run, you have to give them an environment.
Okay, since you have brought up, the case study of Uttarakhand, let me bring in Dr. Prasad out here on a slightly different issue, but very much of being talked about sometimes, not that much this time, is the division of the state of Uttar Pradesh and making Purvanchal a different state, dividing the state into smaller states. This particular experiment seems to have worked somewhere, seems to have not worked somewhere. But Dr. Saab, do you believe that dividing the state will benefit Purvanchal specifically in more ways than it could happen when it stays with the United Uttar Pradesh?
Well, in principle, I'm all for that, for administrative efficiency, if they do something. But what they are doing so is it's a haphazard division that they are contemplating. First of all, you have to perhaps have some very specific and clear ideas as to what you want before you go about that. Right at the moment, it's more of a political move than anything else. Really.
Yes, obviously, because not all political parties are talking about. I'll come back to you. Let me bring in Professor Saab out here first. Professor Saab, do you believe this is a idea worth taking a shot at?
I don't think, because as Achintya said, the people from Purvanchal has migrated and established industries in Uttarakhand when it was carved out of UP. These people, why they perform well over there? Not just because of the conducive environment. Because if you have seen the change of behavior I've seen, when they come over here, as if they are free birds, they can do anything. As Dr. Prasad, he is latently not agreeing with the division because it's a political, not cultural. Because there's no clear roadmap, no clear-cut decision. And one thing I'll tell you, from last 18 years I'm in Gorakhpur University. Can you tell me the barometer of a university? You don't have a catalog in this library. At least from last 18 years, I'm the witness. And before that, there's no catalog. You have to keep on fishing to find a book. This is the condition of the
So basically, it comes back to the willpower and all that. Achintya. Okay, quickly, we're running out of time.
Right? See, like you said, some states have benefited from the division, some have not.
Some have not.
The basic reason that I can see is, like if you talk about Uttar Pradesh, we at Purvanchal think that we are the deprived lot. Right? Western UP somehow gets advantage in terms of funds, in terms of focus. So here I think that since we are the deprived lot, if we are separated, at least we might get our due. Because as of now, we are not getting our due. We are the deprived lot. Out of an allocation of 100%.
Let me tell you something out here, Achintya, that even if you get separated, those people who lead this area will be the same. You will have the same politicians. Wasn't that Arjuman? How would it figure out then? If you have the same leaders, same politicians, same people, making decisions, even if you make it a smaller state, will it help?
Accountable.
Whether they show accountability or not, that is the thing. Where they are showing accountability.
It boils down to making people accountable to what exactly are they.
Two things. The second thing that I wanted to answer is
one by one. Professor.
He said that people for Purvanchal feel deprived. You go to West UP, they say all the taxes collected from us is pumped in UP, Eastern UP, Purvanchal. So they are taking our wealth.
Everybody will have their own version of story. Yes, Arjuman, you were saying something.
One more issue I've got, like we have one Dahiya people in Gorakhpur, even in Maharajganj, in Kushinagar, but nobody is talking about them because they are very poor. They are very poor people. They don't have electricity after 70 years of independence. Yes, they don't have pakka houses. They still live in hut, and they do have to take permission for getting married, for going for delivery out of the jungle or that kind of a village, because their village is not revenue village, though they are voters. So nobody is talking about them, and nobody is talking.
Professor, hold your horses 1 second. Let me bring in Dr. Prasad out here on this. Dr. Prasad, ultimately, it looks like everything boils down to holding, those people whom we elect accountable for what they have been asked or rather elected to do.
Exactly, and we haven't been able to do so. Because first of all, do I have 30 seconds to have?
Yeah, 30 seconds.
One of the major problems was, in order to select our representatives, well, let's go back to the Constituent Assembly days. The constitution that we followed was the Irish Constitution that resembles most closely the Indian Constitution. Eamon de Valera specifically wrote to the President of the Constituent Assembly as well as Jawaharlal Nehru, indicating that the first past post system would not function in India. I mean, he was very clear about that. With a diverse population, he said that although they had almost copied the entire system in Ireland, but they had avoided the first part, the post system, because it was a diverse population in Ireland. And the other day I wrote an article, and it came in for a lot of stick. There are 27 people in the parliament who enjoy the support of less than 10% of the voters. Now,
basically, Dr. Prasad, what you're also pointing out to, and what everybody out here seems to be agreeing to, is that let's be a little more vigilant as voters, and let's ensure that those whom we elect are held accountable for what they have been elected for. So let's hope that people of not only this city and not only this region, the Purvanchal in Uttar Pradesh, but also the entire state, will elect their representatives who will work for their development for the next 5 years. But that picture will be clear and will emerge only on 11th of March. We'll come back from a different city with a different panel of guests, but maybe similar issues. Till then, keep watching Rajya Sabha Television. Thanks.